Now 21, the Dolphins are on the clock. This is, I think, a very fascinating pick. And the reason is because they need to make a decision on Tua's contract. He's entering year 5 of his rookie deal. And as I explained earlier, there are so many advantages to not paying your quarterback that second deal. I'm going to say this with as much compassion as I can, in particular being a guy that struggled immensely with concussions. I suffered 10 concussions in my 3 years as a quarterback in college. Some of you might be going like, oh, now it makes a lot of sense. And to those of you, touche. Giving Tua a huge deal, I think, is risky. I think it's risky. He has been injury prone outside of that, but that's clearly something that I can just, well, let me just say, like, from firsthand experience, it doesn't get better. It's not like a ligament. Okay, so what ends up happening is less and less of an impact creates more symptoms and a greater degree of those symptoms. So that makes me nervous. I have said this before. A guy that I could see stepping into that offense with that coach with those weapons and looking like he did in college is Michael Penix. Imagine starting over with a rookie deal at that position, solidifying some of the things that they've got, in particular in their skill position, and having a guy that, quite honestly, is a better downfield passer than Tua. Penix is a better downfield passer than Tua. Tua does a lot of things well. And in some respects, like if I was Sean Payton and Tua was on the open market, that would be a perfect marriage. So I'm not saying that like Tua is not going to be in the league, but I'm just saying if you're the Dolphins, you got to really think about this. Yes, you know, Tyreek had a great year. How many times did Tyreek have to adjust on an underthrown ball? Now, maybe that's a bad example because the guy is so fast, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Meanwhile, the best attribute that Michael Penix has, the number one attribute, is his ability to throw with great leverage and accuracy down the field. Down the field. Him in that offense, to me, is like, I want to see it. I think it would be amazing. And so Penix to the Dolphins. Number 22, the Eagles. I think that they've got to find their heir apparent inside to Jason Kelce. I like Jackson Powers-Johnson. He was a center. He doesn't have to play center. You know, there's not a lot of centers necessarily that get taken early in the draft. Tyler Linderbaum got taken by Baltimore. He's a Pro Bowler this year. But for me, Jackson Powers-Johnson can play guard as well. He's an interior offensive lineman. And so I think that the Eagles... And that's one of those picks you'd be like, oh, man, did they really get him? Because he is an excellent player. Texans here at 23. This one's from the Browns. Imagine, okay, so they had this great year. They go to the playoffs. They've got the rookie offensive, or excuse me, the offensive rookie of the year in C.J. Stroud, the defensive rookie of the year in Will Anderson. You would assume that C.J. is going to continue to get better and better and better. And guess what? Guess what you need if you're going to have the lead, if you're going to have a quarterback that can get the lead. Guess what the best thing you can do is? Present a pass rush on the opposition. That's the way you close out games. That's what the late Bill Walsh always talked about. Get a lead, close it out with the pass rush. You've got Will Anderson, but why not give him another partner on the opposite side? Latu from UCLA. Double-digit sacks the last 2 years. He's got a great story, and we're going to get into it throughout this process, but he was medically retired at Washington after a neck surgery, found a home at UCLA after getting cleared, kind of a second lease on his football life, and he's taken advantage of it. I like Latu there from UCLA to the Texans. Cowboys. This is not a sexy pick for the Cowboys, but Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle for Arizona, makes a lot of sense. Tyron Smith is 33 and a free agent, so like bolstering that offensive line, I think makes a lot of sense. So I've got Morgan to the Cowboys. The Packers desperately need help on the interior of their defense to stop the run. How about Byron Murphy from Texas? I like Byron Murphy. He played great for Sark there at Texas. The Bucs need help in their secondary. How about the ball hawk from Iowa, Cooper DeJean? And 7 interceptions, 3 pick sixes over the last couple of years. I love Cooper. Obviously, got a chance to cover him at Iowa. Here's that second Cardinals pick that I was talking about. And earlier, I got Marvin Harrison. And here, from the Texans at 27, they had the 3rd fewest sacks in the league last year. They can get Marvin Harrison and then double up and get Chop Robinson, the edge rusher from Penn State. Chop Robinson is a hell of a player. I toyed around with putting Chop Robinson up there at 24 with the Cowboys to pair him back with a college kind of teammate, even though it was a couple of years ago in Micah Parsons. Both Penn State guys. Chop is explosive on the edge. I like that for the Cardinals. The Bills, and this is where it always, like 28 on down, you got these really good teams that can just bolster wherever they need. These are always need picks and or, for me, just like best player available. And then you end up scratching your head and like, how did that team get this player? The Bills need to do something on the outside for Josh Allen. Diggs is 30 now. Gabe Davis is a free agent. And this is a wide receiver heavy draft. So why not Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU? I like Brian Thomas Jr. I like him a lot. So give him to Josh Allen. The Lions desperately need help in the secondary. I think that was obvious in their run. What a great run that they had, by the way. And so for me, their pass defense, second worst in yards per attempt. They've got to help the pass rush, which I still think is pretty good, but you've got to help that with a quality secondary. Enos Rakestraw from Missouri, a corner. I think he's a good player. I could see him there with the Lions at 29. The Ravens, wasn't it apparent? Now, I didn't love their game plan, and I thought that they should have run the football more against Kansas City. And in fact, Kyle Shanahan fell into the same trap in the Super Bowl in a lot of ways. And while they got to the run eventually, it worked early. They went away from it when they could have pulled away. They got a couple of turnovers. Like, you've got to run the ball against Kansas City, right? But then you also have to have the ability to play action and have guys that can go create and win in the 50-50 situation after you establish the run. So I like Keon Coleman from FSU there. Big athletic wide receiver that can win in the 50-50 situation. And to me, that kind of fits what Lamar will give you. That's an interesting pick there. For the 49ers at 31, bolstering the secondary, I think is a big one. You could help out that pass rush. And who knows, maybe they see Mahomes again, and why not get more quality defensive backs? It's clearly worked for Kansas City. How about Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama? I like the corner from Bama right there. And then the Chiefs get to pick, and it's like, I started looking at the list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't selected this player yet. And is Patrick Mahomes really going to get a guy that I could easily categorize as the second or third best wide receiver in college football last year? And that's Oregon's Troy Franklin. If you could give Patrick Mahomes Troy Franklin, like, are you kidding me? That's insane. That's insane. I love that selection. I think Troy is a hell of a player. And getting Pat more help. I mean, he just won the Super Bowl without a great core of wide receivers. They've got a young secondary. They've got a defense that you would expect to be quality again. It sounded like in the postgame, Travis Kelce, he's back. They want the three-peat. Get him a young wide receiver that can go play right away. Man, how about Troy Franklin? So if you're counting, that would be 6 quarterbacks. That would tie the 83 draft for the most ever in a first round. I think we're going to get there. I really do. And again, I love those fits that we've got with like JJ with Mike McDonald and maybe Penix in Miami, where every time I watched Michael Penix play, I thought to myself, Dolphins offense. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.